I think my favourite singer, like, I definitely would agree with you guys that Freddie Mercury, a standout singer, probably one of the best of all time. But one of my favourite singers, anyways, personally, would be Simone Simons from Epica. She's an operatic singer. Like she does a kind of like it would be very kind of high kind of tonal singer, but she just has a really great voice, and like I think it works really well. But I think I said it previously that one of my favorite genres would be kind of like symphonic metal, where you have orchestral pieces, you have kind of like an operatic voice tied in with kind of electric guitars and maybe even some kind of more growly vocals as well to balance it down. So
I think that there's a couple out of all them, and there's like Nightwish, was it Turge, fucking whatever her name was, and I think she was replaced by someone else
as well.
Yeah,
Lacuna Coil.
I take your one from Lacuna Coil that I think has been the best out of a lot of them. But she's not like, she wouldn't have as
Simone Simons would be my favourite.
So I suppose, like, are we kind of going strictly with vocal range and stuff like that, or are we going for sort of like
the best, Laura. The best.
The best. Or are we going for sort of like really, like say, are we going for say sort of really sort of quirky, easily identifiable people like say Bjork or like say Chino Moreno or something?
Yeah, well, this is what I was going to say with it. Yeah.
Mika.
The fuck is Mika?
You know Mika.
I have no idea what you're on about.
You don't know. No one knows who Mika is. Jesus. You know.
No, is he that fellow with the... No, go on. What's his big hit? I know of the name.
He did like Grace Kelly, and he did the song for Kick-Ass, We Are Strong, and...
Oh, yeah. I just
did
didn't
you do
know
that
his face.
downtown thing?
Yeah, he was meant to be like the next Michael Jackson, wasn't he, that fella?
Yeah, where he kind of... Like, the first song he released, Grace Kelly, he sounded very much like Freddie Mercury in it. He did like a bunch of kind of other ones, like kind of more poppy songs as well.
What is that one about downtown or overtown or
Uptown Funk?
Uptown. That's the one.
Uptown Funk,
My God,
Bruno Mars.
I'm like Snoop Diggity
Bruno
Dog.
Mars. All right,
Yes,
that is the guy that I thought was.
Yes. See, I'm just turned into that like old lady that I'm like, who's that youngster that does the thing?
Is that the fella who sings Uptown Funk? No, that's Bruno Mars.
But you see, I think a lot of
Mars
these guys, they have like classical voice that they're obviously kind of trained to sound. And this is what you were asking.
Auto-tuned.
I think like Chino Moreno is probably one of the best singers.
See, that's
and a
what
lot
I mean,
of people
kind
agree
of
with.
unusual
But
voices.
people that would be kind of like into kind of like singing, they probably turn around. Oh no, he can't sing because he hits
bum notes every now and
a
again.
lot. But it's his
But
voice
he has
and the
a
way he
very
does it. There's
definable
emotion
voice.
in it. Yeah, it's brilliant. He's the singer of the Deftones.
But that's what I mean. Someone like Bjork, if you hear Bjork, you go, that's fucking Bjork straight away. She has a very identifiable voice and nobody else sounds like her.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
absolutely.
Or like Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries. You hear her and it's like straight away you go, that's Dolores
She is
O'Riordan.
a very good singer
I
though
love
as well.
her voice.
But kind of like for me, I suppose Chino Moreno be one of the favourite singers. I think he's one of the best as well. But kind of like I'd have a couple of the top. A lot of them would be Mike Patton.
Yes, again, another
the guy who made
fantastic.
the tracks.
And
Yes, General Patton as he was became known.
After World War II, we retired and just decided to start singing.
But surely you've heard Fate No More.
Yeah, I think I would have heard some of their songs. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't have listened to full albums, but I know of them and I know some of their songs.
He would have been who Anthony Kiedis copied his style of singing.
Red
So
Hot
what
Chili
you're saying
Peppers.
is he's derivative.
Yes, Anthony Kiedis, the Red Hot Chili
Anthony
Peppers
Kiedis, yes.
are a derivative.
Yes,
And shit.
incredibly
But
so.
it's got like Mike Patton, fucking amazing vocal range. Because when it comes back around to my one, you're going to be listening to one of the, but not a Fate No More album.
Mr. Bungle.
No, not a Mr. Bungle album.
What?
It's you will
Buddy
see.
Holly. Are we going to listen to Buddy Holly?
No, but it's a thing that Mike Patton is on, and it's going to challenge your perceptions of music. Well, not really, but he's like
Is
he's,
that
Maynard
your way of
Keenan.
getting this? You kind of getting us ready for something that you think we're not going to like.
yes, you won't
Suspense
like
is
it.
killing me.
But you played The Darkness, Mark, didn't you?
The
Video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. I was like,
Yeah.
played the band?
Yeah,
How do I
like,
play the
I'm
band?
really confused there. I was
Game
like,
of ping pong.
He did the voice of the darkness in The Darkness.
Okay, fair enough.
That's because he can do like he can really probably say, and
he's
he does,
a bit of a Mark Hamill in that respect. He can do so many really weird voices
and stuff, but he also does real kind of like
yes, you're fantastic
kind of
at
thing.
imitating there.
Yeah,
yes, great voice there.
I can't really do it like start
clearly.
screaming.
No,
but he's fucking like untouchable.
Yes,
I think.
As in unclean.
And he's alive, so there he's got one over Freddie Mercury.
Connery and he fought mob bosses.
Yeah. But Maynard Keenan is another one who has a fantastic...
Maynard James Keenan,
yes.
yeah. Tell me you've listened to Tool.
No.
Or Pussifer.
No.
Or
Just making up words now.
If they haven't listened to Tool, they definitely haven't listened to Pussifer.
Perfect Circle. Maybe.
Are you sure you're not making up words?
Like, I know what
God.
I know the band Tool and Perfect Circle, but I can't say I could even name one song that any of those bands have done.
You will be listening to some of their albums in the future.
You see, for me, like a good vocalist is not somebody who has a fantastic vocal range or something like that. For me, again, it's somebody who has a very identifiable
Maynard
voice.
James Keenan, he's got the vocal ability.
He does as well, but like I'm kind of thinking, say, the likes of, say, Billy Corgan or an Eddie Vedder or someone like that.
Billy Corgan
they
is
have
actually a
really
great singer.
identifiable voices. They might not have the best of vocal ranges, but you listen to Eddie Vedder, you listen to Billy Corgan, you go, fucking Smashing Pumpkins, fucking Pearl Jam, straight away you know who they are. Like.
Eddie Vedder was actually on my list. I did like Eddie Vedder influenced a whole singing style in itself, with the so Puddle of Mud and all those cunts that came out, trying to copy him. And what the fuck is that Christian fucking rock band? Creed. Yeah. Oh.
And of course, if you go back a little bit further, you go to someone like Prince. Back in the 80s.
My name is Prince. I have a monkey.
And I suppose, to a lesser degree, but still worth mentioning, would be like Chris Cornell.
Oh, Chris Cornell, definitely.
You're only listening to a bit of
it's only listening just before we came on. Chris Cornell had a fantastic voice.
I remember when he passed away a couple of years ago. Obviously, so many people who might only like partially know, and the same thing that happens when every artist dies. They're always going, "Oh, they were my favorite," and all this. And like, I would admit, like I listened to a little bit of his stuff on like when he was in like Audio Slave and stuff like that, and Pearl Jam. But the kind of
Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Philistine.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
We're just back on Eddie Vedder there.
That's my point. I wouldn't have been a super big fan of him. Like I wasn't going, oh my god, like it's such a shame. But I just remembered he also did the song for the James Bond. Casino Royale. So like the guy sitting next to me was doing that same thing, and I was like, I know, it's such a shame that the man who's like famous for doing the James Bond song is dead. And he just looking at me with daggers in his eyes.
I will murder you, stone dead, you little bastard.
But Chris Cornell started out as a drummer in Soundgarden, and then they started getting him. And then when he was singing, he was like doing the Jim Morrison thing where he was like singing with his back to the crowd. He was shot, but apparently he was going on still topless. And there was one who ended up managing and like helping out a lot of the bands in Seattle at the time. I think she was their manager, and she was talking about it, and she was going like that he was just like, he was so proud of his body that but he was like a real shy guy, but like for some reason with that he was like, hey, look at me,
look, I've worked out a lot. That happens. Well, I mean, I can't obviously leave this whole thing without mentioning Hetfield then as well, because he wasn't originally meant to be a singer at all. He was like, no, I will play guitar and I don't want to sing. And they're like, nobody else wants to sing, guess you're singing. And he's after turned out to be quite the vocalist.
It's the musical version of the guy who ended up playing Toby in The Office.
Yeah, it's like nobody else wants to play Toby. You're a writer, get out there. And he's like, but okay then, I suppose.
Well, it's when you're going with that whole lot as well, then you got like Lane Staley as well. But I suppose it was him and Jerry Cantrell. Really, it was the pairing of their voices that kind of like, gave that kind of like unique Alice in Chains thing. And Mark Lanigan, probably someone who none of you are familiar with at all.
No, it's a lot of acts and artists that I'm going, unfortunately no. So
Mark Lanigan is someone in years to come, people will be looking back on him as kind of like, my god, that was like one of the best singers of the last 20 years.
I can imagine Wayne just scrawling stuff down, going, we're going to make him listen to this and this and this.
Jen, you'd like that. He's a singer-songwriter. They started off in a band in the 90s called Screaming Trees, which were were going to be like, they were always on the cusp of being the next big grunge band.
Okay.
But he just went off on his own, doing his own bits and pieces. He's a bit like a more bluesy version of Nick Cave, I suppose. He's got a real gravelly voice.
That was who I was going to mention as well, by the way.
He'd be up there
Nick
with
Cave.
kind of like, fucking what's his face, Tom Waits and all those kind of style of people, but he's a big fucking guy as well. People are terrified of him.
Yeah.
Poor you.
Because you got to mention Nick Cave there, because there's so many
Nick
people.
Cave is amazing.
Like, I mean, again, very identifiable voice. And
He's
so
a
many
crooner.
people,
Now, he turned into a crooner, didn't
so
he?
many people, like, I mean, you've got Nurgle basically does a homage to him the whole time with, like, Me and That Man. He'd like, right, I'm going to stop doing my, like, black and death metal, and I'm going to just do my Nick
See
Cave
Black and
tribute.
Decker.
Yeah, so did I for a
Decker.
second there. I was like, what's coming next?
I'm going to stop my Black and Decker ads. It's like,
Yeah,
go back to my,
I just
my
just
true
put down my
passion.
jigsaw over here, and I'm just going to start doing my Me and That Man thing and all the rest.
I presume you kind of like think that Danzig, since you're like massive Danzig fans now.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that, I mean, yeah, Roy Orbison was another fantastic singer
Yeah.
as well. I mean, you got to go back to the, like,
Finally, a name I
if you're going to, like, you've got him, Elvis, names like that. You got to go back
But
to the
Danzig was
50s.
a mixture of all of them, and kind of like what's his face from the Doors, Jim Morrison, and himself.
Yeah,
He was
suppose.
unique.
Unique.
Danzig is so
He
and
is.
like so. Danzig is up at the top there.
He's got quite a good voice, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a good voice, but I wouldn't like rank it as like up at the top. Like, what I think like it's the fusion of like the kind of the guitars and drums with Danzig voice that really makes it like it's like some great artists you can almost hear just with an acoustic guitar and their voice, and it could really make it. I don't
That's
think
listen to the rest of Danzig's albums. He does
will.
like acoustic
We will,
stuff.
but, like,
He
that-
wrote songs for Johnny Cash.
I might be mistaken, but from that album,
Johnny
I
Cash
Another
is
very,
his voice didn't seem that strong to do it on its own. But as I said, I'll listen to more, and I could be wrong.
that's another
Dude,
very
indeed.
recognisable voice.
Yeah,
Johnny
Johnny.
Cash.
But let's
course.
say when we're going on for like best singers, as in best singers that are alive now.
Well, see, the thing is, right, one thing Danzig has going for him as well is if you listen across the whole spectrum of pop, rock music, rap, fucking anything, there's very few baritone male singers. It's if you listen to pop, it's always like fucking. You always go for sort of. They're always like the why can't I think of it? The one that have their balls quizzed, basically. What are the fucking
Castratos.
No, yes, sopranos, I suppose would be the best one. But yeah, it's always like it's the higher pitched voices. If you listen to any of the popular songs, it's always higher pitched voices and all the rest. You very rarely get the likes of a Danzig.
Proper men singing.
Yeah, exactly. Or a fucking Roy Orbison, or like for people in Ireland, like the likes of a Jack L or
All that
something
I can
like
think
that.
of is kind of like from fucking in Seinfeld, the time when they had like the crooner kind of thing, where kind of like they thought that fucking Kramer was
mentally handicapped.
Yeah, and that
just when
they were
you
kind of like, I don't like seeing these people singing. It's kind of like there's something worse than like grown men singing and crying.
But just when you were saying it there, the castratos, it's like it's something that like I like keep seeing every now and again. Like people are trying to bring up the fact you're like, yeah, it would take the Catholic Church to go, that boy is singing great. Here,
Yes, let's
let
get
us chop his
young
balls
boys
off.
that forever sound like young boys. But it is for some reason it seems to be a thing in most pop acts. It's always like a higher pitch, like your Justin Timberlakes and all the rest. Like,
But that's I don't consider any pop singers
But
actual singers
that is
because
the thing that appeals the most for some reason.
Top 7.
Yes.
and look, he's in a realm of his own.
Yes, but I mean
He's
that's
like
what I mean.
chat-
In a
sang
world of
some-
all of these sort of like high pitched ones, you've got someone like Danzig comes along and he's like, "Mother." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's and it's you're harking back to the likes of say an Elvis and
So
Roy
you're
Orbison
pushing
and
for
all the
Danzig
rest.
to be the best singer ever.
I'm pushing for sort of the lower pitch, the baritones and the deeper voices, and that's what you
I
need.
definitely
You need
grew
men
up
to be
loving
men.
Elvis because my dad was a massive, and is to this day, a massive Elvis fan.
Is he one of these chaps that has Elvis and the Pope hanging up on pictures in the wall?
Does he wear
doesn't
Elvis
have
glasses?
the Pope, but he does have like Elvis, him and his wife, Elvis, me, Elvis, the dog.
I love it. Is he still called Elvis?
No.
No, but like they got that picture of Elvis and the Pope, and then he put his dog's face on the Pope. It's like that was when Elvis was shaking hands with the dog Pope. Do you not remember the dog Pope?
Love it.
My dad loves singing Elvis, so I grew up like very
Elvis
immersed
all
in
over the place.
Elvis.
You got Stockholm syndrome to Elvis.
The ghetto.
So the two of you are into more kind of like contemporary music. So what would you say are the best singers nowadays?
Well, that's what I was saying there earlier on. That like kind of a lot of my favorite singers would be in the genre.
Dead.
Of, like no,
Yeah.
thankfully not.
Me.
They would be like in the symphonic metal or kind of or symphonic power metal.